Hey there! Welcome to Sales Enablement Genius. I'm your host, Nitin Karthik. As Director of Product Marketing and a top product marketing voice, sales enablement is one of my core responsibilities. And I've always found that real world case studies are the true litmus test for the effectiveness of any sales enablement strategy. And that is why in this show, we dive into the minds of industry titans as well as rising stars, unpacking their expertise in action packed episodes that showcase the power of sales enablement through real world case studies. And today, my friends, we are joined by sales enablement genius Liz Chavez, who is Director of Revenue Enablement at SpyCloud. As a revenue leader, Liz is on a mission to help go to market teams translate technical skills and business acumen into successful customer experiences. As the first enablement hire at SpyCloud, Liz has built programs like the SpyCloud University onboarding, territory planning, and MEDPIC qualification frameworks from the ground up. As Global Sales Enablement Manager at WP Engine, Liz established sales enablement as a discipline across the organization. As a global markets sales enablement program strategist at IBM, Liz organized 3-day intensive sessions with client teams, subject matter experts, and external business advisors collaborating on new opportunities for priority industries.
Mhm.
Liz loves the opportunity she has in her role to enable others to accelerate their growth, both personally and professionally, every single day. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor. Let's welcome Liz Chavez. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I have to say the pleasure is all mine. I've seen so many people on your show that I both follow, admire, respect, and so I'm incredibly flattered to be here.
Wow, humbled and honored. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so Liz, as promised, we will give our audience a situation from your experience. And Liz, we'll use the ABC framework. So we'll talk about the antecedents, what were the prior challenges, we'll talk about the behaviors, what were some of the actions that you took, and we'll talk about the conclusion, how things played out. So with
Sure.
that, Liz, pick a situation from your experience and tell us what were the antecedents, what were the prior challenges?
Sure. So, 2023 was an incredible year of growth at SpyCloud with us securing additional funding. As is often the case with funding, comes a lot new expectations. So there's a focus on productivity and efficiency and revenue growth. And so as I was coming into 2024 and I lead our sales kickoff process, I knew that I was going to have to address these new expectations. What I typically do is I take some time in our sales kickoffs and I'll go deep on each of the themes that we have for the year, provide details on why we're focused on it, how it's relevant to the business, and how we can apply it in the upcoming year. But I noticed something really curious that was happening in our prep sessions. As we were talking about productivity and process and efficiency, about half of the stakeholders were leaning in and getting really excited and looking energized. And the other half were kind of leaning out and maybe have a little bit of dread on their face. And I was realizing that, folks like myself that are operationally aligned saw this like as an opportunity and we were going to lean into the process. And then maybe some of my colleagues with a more entrepreneurial spirit, I could see them getting nervous, like, hey, is this going to, stifle innovation? How are we going to be creative and, fail fast? So I quickly realized that I couldn't take the same approach I had taken in past years, that if I started to address these themes in the same way, I might actually lose half of the audience from the get-go.
Yeah. And Liz, I can only imagine, I think a lot of people in the audience will be faced with similar situations, right? Where maybe what got us here may not get us there, right? So you may have to change your strategy. So wonderful. Thank you for setting the stage with the challenges. Now, Liz, let's talk about the behaviors. Tell us, okay, given these challenges, what were some of the actions that you took?
Yeah. So I just want to acknowledge that it can be so tempting in these moments to want to like resist these reactions and look at them as like, oh goodness, now I've got this obstacle to overcome. And especially true when expectations are high and you're feeling tight on time. But I really tried to resist that and instead get curious about their reactions and see, I wanted to understand and maybe validate some of their concerns. So at the end of the day, it was just recognizing that we are one team and it's going to take each and every one of us contributing for this to be successful. And so it got me really thinking about these personality and work preferences and differences and how really empowering yourself with this knowledge about your strengths and preferences, but also understanding that about your colleagues can really help us work more collaboratively. And so that was actually the shift that I started to take with our kickoff preparations, was actually leaning out from the themes and leaning more into this tension, as you pointed out, that we were going to have in the business as we up leveled.
Yeah, wow. Tension, I think that's maybe the operative word here. And for our audience, we should remind them that sometimes tension or stress can be healthy, right? Like there is such a thing as eustress, which is like the generative, like
Mhm.
healthy form of stress, which takes us to the next level, and then distress, right? When that gets maybe excessive. So I love that you're sharing that. Wonderful. Okay, so given that these actions that you took to handle some of these tensions, now tell us, Liz, about the conclusion. How did the situation play out then?
Yes. And so I, just like you're doing, I took it to the experts and I had the opportunity to bring in a guest speaker to talk about this dynamic and exactly what you're saying, turn this tension into an opportunity for us. So I had the privilege of working with Dr. Art Markman, who is a professor locally here at UT Austin, and he focuses on cognitive science, decision-making, and organizational behavior, and just happens to be the author of an amazing book called Smart Change. And so he came in and spoke to us about just this pivotal moment in time that we're in, about some of the tactical shifts we could make to really successfully navigate this new landscape we found ourselves in. It was such an important moment for us as a go-to-market team to start the year off with this kind of conversation. We had an opportunity as a group to talk about the opportunities we saw, the obstacles that were concerning to us, and then as a collective remind ourselves that the mission we're on and what success looks like. Some of the tidbits that he left us with, is one of my favorite, is really shifting from that mindset of failing fast to, in a very academic way, he said, you want to aim for that B minus and with a path to getting an A. So I really like that shift in our mindset of, let's take failure out of the equation. We know we're successful. So how do we build upon that success? The other thing, just as you're speaking to, he talked to us about how it's important, our approach to work, not only what we're getting done. If we are constantly approaching work from a desire to avoid disaster, like if the end result of your day is like, oh, I avoided all those bad things happening, that's going to really quickly lead to burnout. And so he was it just was that moment in time to remember, like, the more that we can approach from that mindset of what are we trying to achieve, identify a few tactical steps we can take to get started, we're going to approach work with a new energy. And the result, really, we've felt it across the organization. Like, we had that renewed focus on our 2020 strategy. We all have this language we can now share about acknowledging these differences and these tensions. And that's honestly exactly what we were looking for in our kickoff.
Wow, what a fabulous story. So, Liz, I wanted to highlight a couple of things for the audience. I think
Sure.
that are really excellent takeaways from your discussion here. So, one is recognize that there may be tension among the team, right? Everything is not going to be rainbows and cupcakes, all right? So sometimes you're going to have problems, and recognize that, acknowledge that. I really admire how you went for external help, right? You got this expert who was able to speak to this. Sometimes, when we explain things to other people, if we're not an expert, people may not take our advice, right? But when we get an expert, hey, this expert is talking about this, then people are like, oh, I better pay attention. So sometimes get maybe an external expert to share that. And I also like how you shared that you made this about a collaborative effort, right? We're all in this together, and it's going to require all of us to chip in. And so make, like we're all sitting on the same side of the table. It's not like, sales enablement versus sales is on opposite sides. So excellent advice. So thank you, Liz. This is really, really great. So tell us, Liz, if people wanted to learn more about you, where can they find out more?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, I just love these kind of conversations. And again, the series that you're doing, this opportunity to hear real life examples and real situations that come up. So I recently had the opportunity to speak with Seismic on a webinar around using their platform and our experience with enablement across their content management and learning management systems. Soon I'll be joining a panel for the Sales Enablement Collective to talk about navigating the enablement maturity curve and some of these tensions that come up as your organization matures. But ultimately, I'm always happy to connect on LinkedIn. I love hearing from fellow enablers or product marketers. I mean, as you said, we're all in that same line and we're all collaborators. So yeah, don't hesitate to send me a message.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you so much, Liz. Folks, definitely reach out to Liz for more great advice like this. And my friends, armed with that knowledge, onward and upward.